Welcome to Classical 95.9 WCRI's Conducting Conversations with your host, Mike Mano. 1 hour of music and conversation with notable people in the arts, bringing you the stories of how music has impacted their lives. The show will give a behind-the-scenes look at the guest's background, interests, or special project.
Conducting Conversations is brought to you by Roberts Musical Instruments. From sheet music and brand name instruments to rentals, repairs, lessons, and more. Roberts Musical Instruments is your key to musical success. Call 823-5459. That's 823-5459.
And now here's your host, Mike Mano.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conducting Conversations. Tonight, it's a pleasure to welcome into our studios a man that has not been on Conducting Conversations in the past. His name is Robert Rogler. He is a composer. And tonight we're going to be listening to his music, some of his music, from 2 CDs that I was in possession of. One is called Where the River Falls, and the other one is Sing a Song of Seasons. And Robert, welcome to the program. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
It was an interesting find, the way we hooked up a little bit, in the fact that most of my audience knows that I've been involved with the Music Mansion in Providence for about 30 years, and you've played in the Music Mansion last fall, right?
Yeah, the last 2 falls, actually.
There you go.
Had a wonderful time. Musicians loved the place, and I think we did our best performances there.
There you go. Now, you're not particularly known as a musician other than being a composer, right?
I'm mostly a composer. I try to be mostly a composer.
Okay. And composing in the classical vein, if you would call it that, or?
Yes, I'm pretty much classical musician. So.
Okay, so you're not doing something, you have nothing that the Grateful Dead played, or
Nope, no. There's not a lot of rock or jazz influence in my stuff.
Okay, let's go back a little bit. You're currently living in Rhode Island, but let's go back a few years. Where did you grow up?
I was born in Smithfield, Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
If you drive down Route 7 near Bryant College, you'll come across Rogler Farm Road.
There you go.
And that was my estate. Yeah, that was the cool. Rogler estate where I was born. So, I was born there, and I remember very early on, from the time that I was 2 years old, my first memory was of hearing Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds by the Beatles on the car radio. And music was just magic to me from that moment on.
Well, there you go.
I've
Lucy
never...
in the Sky
there you go.
with Diamonds. All right.
Yeah, and I wanted to be a musician ever since.
And then did you take music in high school? And
my parents unfortunately suffered during the recession of the 1970s, and their businesses didn't work out. So I wasn't given music lessons for that reason. But when we moved to North Smithfield, when I was 11, Mr. Michael Baudet, who was the director of music at Hollowell School, asked me if I'd like to join the band, choose an instrument. And I jumped at the opportunity because I'd been begging for music lessons since I was 5 years old.
And what did you play at
And
that
I
point?
said, give me the biggest thing you got. Give me a tuba. So he gave me a tuba. He gave me a sousaphone, started me right off on it. I got up to the level of the advanced band within a couple of weeks. And my uncle, who happened to be a teacher at North Smithfield High School, told me a story that Mr. Baudet came to him after I'd begun the tuba and said, your nephew has some musical talent. You might want to consider more than just tuba for him. So he and my parents made a deal that if they would pay for some lessons, he'd buy me a piano.
Wow.
So for my 12th birthday, I got the most valuable gift of my life, my little spinet piano.
Wow, that's a pretty cool story. Yeah. And so that's what you switched to.
Well, I continued to play the tuba and the piano, and then I took a lot of lessons.
Both are very hard to carry around.
True, yeah. Sometimes I wish I had played the flute, but they, I took lessons on lots of instruments just to learn how to write for them. Violins, clarinets, all kinds of things. So So yeah, I was very eclectic with that, and that paid off because by the time I was 16, I started writing my first orchestral compositions, and I had a great teacher, Dr. Richard Remedi, lived in Woonsocket at the time, and he has won the Eastman School of Music Composing Prize. He was a runner-up in the Rudolf Nissim Prize. You know, some of the most important and prestigious awards in the U.S. he had won.
Right.
So he was a great teacher to have for a composer. And so I started writing orchestral pieces, and one of them was chosen to be performed by the Rhode Island Junior All-State Band during its annual concert. And I got a lot of notoriety from that piece, and went on to get accepted at a very prestigious music school in Europe, where I went to college.
Oh, okay. So off you went, but you returned.
I did, yes. I returned with my wife, who was born in Edinburgh, born and raised in Edinburgh, and it was a strange coincidence how things sort of worked out. My wife was studying library science, and she had a peculiar speciality. She studied Orthodox Christian studies.
All right.
Which, for someone who's British, is bizarre because there's no Orthodox Church in Britain, And, she had to look far afield for a job, but, Russian Orthodox seminaries and Greek Orthodox seminaries have their own librarians.
Sure, their own, yeah.
So she wound up getting a job at Hellenic College, Holy Cross Seminary, up in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Okay.
So from, living in Europe and being able to go almost anywhere in the world, I wound up pretty much back where I started.
As it would be.
Yeah, it seems to go that way.
All right. Well, before we go any further, we'll get some more information, but let's get to a piece of music, get everybody in the mood. This first piece is from Where the River Falls is the title of the CD, correct?
Correct.
And tell us about this one.
The piece is a very old piece. Well, I wrote it when I was younger. I actually wrote it on my honeymoon. My wife and I, it was our second honeymoon. My wife and I had a very lame first honeymoon because I had exams to study and take just after our wedding, which was very inconvenient. So I took her the next year to Niagara Falls. And while we were there, I started writing down the first notes for this piece, which is called Les Cascades, which in English is Waterfalls. And it's a solo piano piece. And I was lucky enough to hire a very good pianist named Matt Savage to perform it on the CD. He's mostly a jazz pianist, but he's so good he can do just about anything. And if you want to go on YouTube and see him play when he's like 5 years old on David Letterman or on the Today Show, you can find those videos on there.
All right, why don't we give that a listen to? We'll get some more information after that. Beautiful music provided by Robert Rogler. Robert, we have time for another piece in this segment. What'll that be?
It's a solo cello performance called Sweetest Love I Do Not Go, from the John Donne poem of the same name. It's performed by my son, John Rogler, and it's a poem that John Donne wrote about loss and heartbreak and death and all kinds of things that classical music
all that fun stuff
expresses so well, the longing for something better. And my wife asked me to put this one on because she thinks it reminds her of her homeland in Scotland. So you can tell the Scots are very somber people.
Okay, we'll give that a listen and take a short break, and we'll be back with more. The music of Robert Rogler is the subject of tonight's Conducting Conversations. I'm Mike Mano, pleased to be sitting with Robert and listening to music from his CD, Where the River Falls. We're going to be listening to another CD in a little while, but Robert, let's kind of pick up where we left off and talk about Where the River Falls, and that's inspired by Niagara Falls, as you said earlier.
Kind of. The first piece, the solo piano piece, is inspired by Niagara Falls. The actual name, Where the River Falls, I took from the town of Pawtucket, which is the Indian word for Where the River Falls.
I did not know that. I thought it was for the Indian name of Slater Mill.
Not quite.
Okay, so I was not aware of that. So you learn something every time on Conducting Conversations. There's your new tidbit.
Yeah, and that's why he built the mill there, is because the river fell there and you had good water propulsion for your machines.
So a combination of Niagara Falls and Where the River Falls, and having nothing to do with Fall River.
Yeah, nothing at all.
Okay. All right, let's get to this next piece of music, and it's track 10 on this particular CD. Before we do that, I'd like to find out, you have a website people can go to get more information?
I do. It's roglercollection.com is the website. And
that's
I have
ROGLER
collection.com, all small, no spaces.
Yeah.
And it has on it all our, it has videos of the pieces from these albums. It has future projects that we're looking to work on, that we're trying to raise funding for. It has all the information about my musicians and me. And you can contact me from the website, too. So it has everything.
Excellent. All right. That's a good thing to know. We'll mention that in the next segment also. If you missed it, we'll get back to it. But right now, let's go to track 10.
All right. Track 10 is from the Songs for Bass. A friend of mine.
I love that.
Yeah, being a bass. A friend of mine is a friend of a Vienna opera singer named Ein Anger. And he had been complaining that there were no arias for bass. He couldn't show off enough. So he asked me if I'd write some songs for bass, and I did. This is one of the songs. It's from the poem by William Blake, The Tiger. Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright. And it's performed by Carlo Bugni, who is a voice teacher in Boston. He's from the Philippines and very committed to Philippine music. But he did this for me. And the pianist is Adam Merrill, who is just a fabulous pianist. I've played these songs for bass myself and always gotten tendinitis or carpal tunnel and taken me months to recover. But he played them without any problem. So in this song, I think you'll hear the piano concerto type of accompaniment that these songs have. And they're quite the challenge.
Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or I could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burn the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand has seized the fire? And what shoulder and what heart could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp? Terror's deadly terror's clasp. When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his word to see? Did he who made the lamb thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or I could frame thy fearful symmetry?
All right, I'll have to try that bass solo at some point.
I hope you do.
All right, let's get to the next piece you have for us.
The next piece is the only piece that was written specifically for this album. The others were pieces that I had written before and put on it. But this one was written just before the album was done. It's a cello sonata, and we're going to hear the second movement, an energetic movement played by my son John, who is a cellist, and Matt Savage, who is playing the piano accompaniment.
Okay, here we go. Robert, I understand you have a story about the next CD we're going to listen to. It's called Sing a Song of Seasons.
Yes, it's 24 songs, 6 for each of the seasons of the year.
You're giving Vivaldi a run for his money, right?
I wrote words to help me. Vivaldi did well with just instruments. But actually, how these songs got written is kind of interesting. My wife, I said, worked at Hellenic College, and it's one of the only accredited Orthodox Christian universities/seminaries in the world. So countries that don't have seminaries tend to send their students to her college, Africa, South America, Indonesia.
Sure.
So she gets a lot of international students. So one year, I think it was 97, I went to a talent show at the school, which is always very interesting because these international students play unique instruments and do very interesting dances and things in these shows. And during the talent show, a woman walked onto the stage with a violin and played exquisitely well. And I thought, why is this person at Hellenic College? Why isn't she in Juilliard?
Juilliard or something, right?
Right, yeah. So I went up to afterwards in the show and found out who she was. It turned out that she was an Estonian violinist. She had grown up in the Soviet Union because the Soviet Union had just broken up at that point, and she was trained in Tallinn, the capital of Estonia, and in St. Petersburg. She had been on Soviet radio, Soviet television. She was quite a talent in the Soviet Union. What happened was she was married to an Orthodox priest. Now, in the Orthodox Church, they'll ordain married men. So her husband was a priest, and he was instrumental in separating Estonia from the Soviet Union, and more importantly, the Estonian Orthodox Church from the Russian Orthodox Church. He made a lot of enemies in Russia, and they actually sent the KGB after him at one point, and he had to jump a plane to Australia to escape.
Wow.
While she, with her 2 young children, had to sneak on a boat to Finland to get away from the persecutions.
Wow.
So she had quite a traumatic time.
Interesting
When
story.
when things settled down in Estonia and they came back, it was decided that he should go to my wife's college to finish his studies as a priest, and she would accompany him, which put her music career on hold indefinitely. So she wasn't even sure if she was going to bring her violin to the United States because what use do I have of it?
Right.
So when I met her, she was delighted to meet with a composer who would use her talents, and I was delighted to have this violinist all to myself. She had no other commitments.
There you go.
Yeah. So I wrote some violin pieces for her very quickly, and after I wrote 2, I think, she said to me, "Why don't you write me some songs?" I said, "Well, you're a violinist. The words don't come through on the violin very well with songs, you know." And she said, "No, I'm also a trained soprano." So
Of course.
What songs do you want? And she was the one who suggested I write songs for the seasons of the year. And so I did. And the next song we're going to hear is something that she constantly said to me. She says, "I've had such a traumatic life in the Soviet Union and fleeing my country and all this kind of stuff, that I want to just be happy. Write me happy music." And so I found the happiest song I could, the happiest poem I could, William Blake's Laughing Song. And I said, "Okay, here you go. Here's a very happy piece for you." And this is the song we're going to hear.
Okay, we'll listen to the Laughing Song, then take a short break and be back with more.
When the greenwoods laugh with the voice of joy, and the dimpling stream runs laughing by, when the air does laugh with a merry wit, and the green hill laughs with the noise of it, when the meadows laugh with light and green, and the grasshopper laughs in the merry scene, when Mary, Susan, and Emily with their sweet round mouths sing ha ha hee, ha 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 hee. When the painted birds laugh in the shade, where our table with cherries and nuts is spread, come and be merry and join with me to sing the sweet chorus of ha-ha-hee. Ha-ha-ha-hee, 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 ha-ha-ha-hee. Ha-ha-ha-hee, 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 ha-ha-ha-hee.
The music of Robert Rogler is the subject of tonight's Conducting Conversations. I'm Mike Baino, very pleased to be sitting with Robert, discussing his two CDs that we will be listening to tonight. One is called Where the River Falls, and the other one is Sing a Song of the Seasons, which are on right now. And Robert, let's get right back to the music and tell us about this next track we're going to hear.
The next track is from the Summer Songs. It's Sonnet 18 from William Shakespeare, called Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, which we can't have summer songs without this one. It's the people who are performing on the CD are Lauren Florek, a very talented soprano, and someone I like because she always wants to learn and get better. And she's an Indiana native, works at Boston Lyric Opera and Mass Opera. And if you want to see something spectacular, you can catch her on YouTube singing The Queen of the Night from Mozart's Magic Flute. Okay. So she's a very accomplished opera singer. And Matt Savage, my great pianist, is accompanying her on this.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometimes to hurt the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fear from fear sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal eyes to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long this is and this gives life to thee.
Robert, I want to make sure people have the website if they want to get more information. Once again, it is
RoglerCollection.com. ROGLER collection.com, all small, no spaces.
pretty simple.
And pretty simple. And on the website, you'll find videos of some of these songs, some songs that we're not playing here today, some future projects. I have a ballet excerpts, and that's the piece I'm working on at the moment. That has a lot of views, so you might enjoy that. We have links to Facebook and Instagram, and always check it out for upcoming concerts and events.
Excellent. All right, check that out. Let's get right back to the music and tell us what's next.
The next piece is from the Autumn Songs, A Night in November. Something very interesting about this piece, we recorded it at the Fraser Studios up at WGBH with the very famous recording engineer Antonio Oliart. And he had a soundboard that he was recording on that he had designed. The night we went in for our final session, the workmen were already there to tear out the soundboard and replace it with something new. WGBH, I guess, felt they needed to, stay cutting edge. So the last piece that was recorded on this original soundboard of Antonio's, a soundboard that had recorded Hilary Hahn and Yo-Yo Ma and the Boston Symphony and all the famous musicians of today. The last piece ever recorded on it was this piece, A Night in November.
Well, Robert, I'm very happy that we were able to connect and we finally got together here. You've been performing at the Music Mansion, and a lot of people know I'm very well connected with that for the last 30 years. And you have these 2 CDs, newer CDs on your website that are just great to listen to, and they can be purchased, right, through the website?
Yes, you can purchase them through the website, either a download or I can mail you a hard copy.
The old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned way. We also have FLAC recordings for those who are familiar with that. So
Wait a minute. Have what?
FLAC. It's a high-quality digital download, which is a little bit better than the MP3, MP4
really?
Format.
See, I'm supposed to be on the cutting edge of knowing everything audio. I've never heard that term, FLAC.
Well, I hadn't either until it was suggested to me. And,
really?
Yep. So you can buy it in the quality that you would like.
There you go. And well, I'm glad I got them the old-fashioned way through the mail, and we were able to hook up and bring you down here and bring your music to our audience, which is very, very pleasing. And thank you for coming in. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We have one piece of music left, and tell us the story about this.
The final piece is called Loveliest of Trees. It's from the Spring Songs, and it's probably the most popular piece I've written. It's requested worldwide wherever I go, and there are, I think, a couple of people who have pirated it on YouTube, so it's out there. But yeah, it's such a delightful little song. I thought we'd end with it today.
Excellent. Once again, thanks, Robert. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
And the rest of you, we'll see you next time on Conducting Conversations.
La 20 will never come again. And take from 70 springs a score. It only leaves me 50 more. And since to look at things in bloom, 50 springs I lit a room. Above the woodlands I will go to see the cherry hung with snow.
Conducting Conversations was brought to you by Roberts Musical Instruments, using music in the arts to keep your child educated, entertained, and having fun. Roberts Musical Instruments is your key to musical success. Call 823-5459. That's 823-5459.